What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim back with another video taking a look at the Last of Us 2 merchandise, which is going to be available soon in tandem with the game. There is a lot of stuff PlayStation announced today on the official PlayStation blog. They announced a limited edition PlayStation 4 Pro. They announced a gold wireless headset, and they've also announced a Seagate 2 terabit hard drive. So this bundle right now is available for $400 US, and it's going to include a lot of the Last of Us stuff. That's going to be a console and a controller. They also sell the controller as a standalone item. They're also selling the headphones as a standalone item, and they're also selling an external hard drive as a standalone item. So let's take a look at these things. First up is the actual controller, and I have a blow up of it here. This is a very, very basic looking controller, and as usual, the one thing that frustrates me slightly is that PlayStation did not take really any crazy challenges or any crazy chances with this controller. So you just have the basic standard black matte controller. They put a little bit of a kind of a watermark here, and then, as they like to do in these controllers, they put a watermark over the actual touchpad in the front that just says the title of the game, no frills or anything. But there's really not much else here in terms of theming, something you see that Microsoft has done a lot better job of. Typically, I mean, I've seen some really, really crazy designs. I've seen some that work, some that don't work as well. I think the Sea of Thieves one is a phenomenal controller design where they really took the style and the spirit of Sea of Thieves and incorporated it into a really nice controller with colored triggers and different styling of the face buttons and things like that. Here, Sony just took the standard basic controller and did very little to it. So it's kind of frustrating on the controller front. If you are interested in that controller, though, however, they are going to be selling it for standalone for $64.99 US. They've also announced the headphones here, which are their standard gold wireless headphones. These are selling for $99.99 US. Still prominently featuring that Fern logo, which is related to Ellie's tattoo. Says Last of Us 2 here on the side as well. Again, not really a whole lot of frills here on this one. I would have loved to see different colored cups or different colored ear cushions or some other styling other than some very flat laser etching here that really doesn't pop or resonate at all. It's difficult with a franchise like Last of Us 2 because there's nothing really synonymous with the game in terms of an image or something that instantly catches your eye. When you think of something like Halo, or you think of something like even Sea of Thieves, you think of the Crimson Omen and Gears. I know these are all Microsoft titles, but just making a point here that they're typically very vibrant in their coloring. They show something that's really, really unique, something that really pops, that's really resonating. Here you don't have that luxury with the PlayStation brand, at least this particular brand. So they kind of didn't do much with it. They just kind of slapped some logos on the stuff. The one I disagree with that assessment, though, and the one I really do like is actually this one here. Now, this is the actual PlayStation 4 Pro console. They've done a couple things here. You can actually see the hard drive here. We'll talk about that in a second. But on the console, what I really like is they have The Last of Us 2 in the front, which I think is kind of a nice touch. But then this really pretty Fern logo that they've been featuring, prominently so far. The nice thing about this, if you actually go to the video and let me fast forward to just a part of it, just a screenshot. I don't want to play it. I don't know if PlayStation's going to, sometimes they get a little crazy in their copywriting, but you could see that it's actually really grooved a lot more than the laser etching is significantly greater than what we would expect to see. So when you kind of look at this from the surface, it looks like it's just maybe, very, very light. But based on this image, and I guess it could be trick photography, these grooves actually look significantly deeper. So it does definitely give it a much greater contour. I think in this particular press photo, it doesn't do a particularly good job right now because It's in this white background. There's not really a lot of natural lighting here. I suspect when you had this sitting on your shelf, and if you're like me and you have LEDs and stuff around it, this is going to show some very different shadow effects, at least internal. Some of these things are going to be hidden. Like if the sun was over here shining down, I feel like you're going to get some really nice effects here because of how deep this is. As far as I can tell, this piece isn't any thicker, so I'm not sure if that's just incredibly thin or what the deal is there. But I like that. I think that's a really cool design. The Gears 5 console that Microsoft released, I think one of the prettiest consoles I've ever seen. Put a lot of attention into detail into laser etching out some of the ICE logo with the Crimson Omen logo underneath the ICE. This really seems to resonate a lot with that design, and I love that. The external hard drive that comes with it says The Last of Us Part 2, really big. I guess, honestly, that's the best logo they could come with. And then here again with the Ellie's tattoo logo. Not too many frills there. If you're curious on the hard drive standalone, you can pick that up for, I believe, $89.99 US. And that'll be a 2 terabyte, which includes the same laser etching, and it works with your PlayStation or your Xbox, whatever else you want an external hard drive to work for. So I'm pretty excited for this. I think it's cool that they're kind of sending off the PlayStation 4 with this. I would guess, I could be wrong, I would guess this is probably going to be the last console that they release this year before PlayStation 5, at least in terms of exclusivity. They haven't announced really much for the Ghost Tsushima, which is really kind of funny because it's the top banner here, and that's okay. I don't know. I thought maybe that game would get a little bit more attention, but it's not going to, I guess. So if you haven't yet picked up a PlayStation 4 Pro, this is kind of a hard sell, I guess, in the sense that the market, the console is coming to end of life very soon. Doesn't mean they're going to discontinue it, and I suspect they'll do something very similar with what they did for the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4 transition, where some of those early games will cross over. I suspect you'll see the next Call of Duty game, for example, on both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. It'll probably be a year or so where the titles are available on both, and then you'll really start to see a shift predominantly into the new stuff. It's hard for Sony to turn their back on the incredibly immersive and incredibly amount of people that currently have PlayStation 4s. So they're not just going to stop support on it instantly. That said, if PlayStation 5 truly is backward compatible, and that remains to be seen, but if it truly is, and what kind of support that gives us, you may not necessarily need a PlayStation 4 so much anymore, so I could totally understand that. But in terms of collector edition consoles, I can say, to me, I have seen ones that are better than this. I think the Monster Hunter one definitely comes to mind. I think the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain definitely comes to mind in terms of consoles that really took the theming to a next level. Here, I think it's a little bit of a disappointment. I think they just kind of slapped the logo on it and just said, hey, look, this is what we did. I think also specific to the controller, and I mentioned this in some of my other videos, Sony doesn't have a lot of real estate to work with here, particularly the way that their design is with these kind of very short, flat handles. You don't really have a lot of real estate to put anything here, and we've seen some really tacky designs on this. I think back to the Destiny 2 controller, where they just kept putting the branding on everything, and every flat surface they would put a logo or something. It just didn't look right. I feel like Sony had a real opportunity here to change up the color scheme, to maybe change the way that the sacred symbols looked on the front, maybe change the arrows on the D-pad, or to put some kind of scoring or marking somewhere on this controller to really make it stand out a little bit more. I think they missed the mark there. The headphones, I'm not really that impressed with them. Honestly, I think the white ones look a little nicer. I know those are the limited edition white ones that you may be able to find elsewhere. I think those pop a lot more. This is really hard to see from a perspective of when you have the headband on, you're not going to see this logo at all because it's on the inside. But just the branding, it's only, from what I can tell in this photo, it's just on the one side. You don't actually see The Last of Us on each side. So it just seems kind of like a basic attempt there. But I think the console itself, I think it does shine. I like the deep laser etching there. I think they're onto something, and I hope that moving forward with new consoles and whatever they announce for the PlayStation 5, they keep some of these lessons learned in mind. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on The Last of Us 2 litany of merchandise. As far as I can tell, they are not available for pre-order yet, but keep your eyes peeled. I guarantee you these will sell out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.